Good day, guys. It's Giselle Mystery over here at the PAIG Property Show. What's happening, guys? How are we doing?
Yeah, pretty good.
Another night in the office, and today we have another special guest, Mr. Steve Travis from the Institute of Public Accountants. A very, very important man with a very important job. Steve, welcome to the show.
I'll just correct you there, Giselle. I'm actually a member of the Institute of Public Accountants.
You are the institute, my friend.
Working right now with my man Karan over here at the PAIG Proactive Investment Group.
So, perfect, thank you. But what we want to touch upon today, guys, is how important is it to set up your business structure and how that benefits you, your taxes, which I think Steve will briefly touch upon. But if you need further advice, of course, this is very generic. This is not to anyone in particular. Steve, do you want to throw a little bit more light on how things can be set up the right way from the get-go?
Yeah, well, thanks for that, Jazz. First of all, I'm glad you pointed out that this is just generic discussion here, because a lot of people they tend to go around and try and pick out little bits of information from webcasts like this and pages on the internet and things like that, and they try and assess the whole situation themselves and try and apply it to their own situation. The first thing I've got to say is that what you read out there on the internet, what you hear in webcasts like this, is all general advice, and it's about the general industry, and it may not necessarily apply to your own personal circumstance. That's a very important point, because the best advice that I can give anyone is to go to a professional. Go to a professional accountant, a professional financial advisor, because otherwise you won't know what the advice that you're reading on the internet, whether it actually applies or how it applies to your own personal circumstances. And your business structure or your property investment structure is a very important aspect of how you set up your investments and how they're able to be tax effective in the future, and how you're able to grow and benefit from those structures.
Yep.
There's the main structures that people use either trusts or companies or a combination of both. There's a fourth option, and that is also limited partnerships or straight up partnerships.
Yep.
But each one of those have their pros, their cons, and each one of those have pros and cons which are applicable to your own financial situations. So if you're single, it's going to be different from if you're a family. It's going to be different from if you're a family with multiple children versus one child.
Yep.
So it's really vital that you actually go towards your accountant and your financial advisor to work out what the best structure is.
Beautiful. What is it that you do so different, Steve, in terms of your expertise and your consults? I mean, a lot of your members from the Institute of Public Accountants, a lot of new ones coming on board right now, new graduates, new experienced accountants. How do you guys differentiate, and what's your USP?
Well, I would probably have to say that I take the time to actually sit down with a client and really understand not just what is best for them now, but what their actual goals are in the future. Some business structures might be really good in the short term, tax benefits, deduction benefits, and all that sort of thing.
Okay.
But if a person's goals are going to be different in the future, or at least they have long-term goals, then you have to take that into account before you recommend any types of structures.
All right.
And the thing with property, as we all know, it is a long-term, medium to long-term game, and so that's a really vital part.
Yep. And I think that's probably coming down to you, Karan. Is great time to buy property. Of course, end of financial year, integrating a lot of the accounting services, PAIG accounting services, which is a very integral part of the PAIG business. How does that combine? How does that blend in with people coming on a daily basis to PAIG?
Yeah, look, PAIG Accounting Services is predominantly was launched when we tried to work with a lot of clients and we realised how poorly their taxes were managed.
Yeah.
by their accountants, and we had a number of partners who joined hands and decided to offer great level of service to our clients in order to do their tax returns or help them with the correct tax structure and also proper tax advice. So one thing led to the other. It really attracted a lot of clients to come in, use our partners within that services to be able to get better service. And also, more importantly, the connection of PAIG Accounting Services to PAIG Financial Services. That was the main reason, because your accountant does a tax return, then it goes to the PAIG Financial Services members or the networks, and then they would then do the loan application with the bank. So I always say to my clients, if your taxes aren't managed properly, very hard to get approvals on loans, and where we come in the picture in terms of sourcing opportunities in properties, it's very hard to match the boxes together. So look, we take pride in partnering up with people like Steve, and also businesses like Steve, who can educate our clients better to make better decisions. And tax season is always a period of time where clients do make decisions. Now, coming in July, a lot of our clients will be contacting us and
100%.
We try to strategize and put goals in place for the next financial year.
To wake people up, I think a lot of people really, and Steve, you'd probably be the best person to advise me on that. Everyone wakes up at the end of the financial year. That's when everyone feels that, we got to do something now. Either, having the books done properly, or, getting everything that you've done over the last 12 months, getting it all cramped up and rushing it through. What's your best advice in organizing a good structured business setup for future business owners, young sole traders, or big establishments? What's your best advice on that of setting up?
Well, I guess I've got to be careful what I say, because as I've been saying all this time, each person's individual circumstances must be taken into account. But generally speaking, and this is generally speaking,
very generic.
Normally, you are quite correct. It is a great time of year, specifically to look at everything with a refreshed view. And if things do need to be restructured, often you will find that your accountant or advisor will recommend to do necessary changes after or at the beginning of the new financial year. However, there are a number of things that are highly beneficial to do at the end of a financial year, or before the end, or just before the end. And that's where you actually have to come in and ask your advisor. It's really best to start planning for the end of financial year at the beginning of June, and to make that your focus, so that you don't miss out on things before that. One thing I can say is generally, accounting fees and advisory fees are normally deductible in the year after they are occurred. Now, that's not any kind of advice, but that's just giving you a sort of generic example of something that can be beneficial to look at before the end of financial year, but at the same time it's something that can apply after the end of financial year, especially if you're but that's only an example. Please take that as just some general information. Again, the best thing you could do is start talking to your accountant as early as possible. But having said that, even though it's good to say start talking to your accountant as early as possible, it's never too late to talk to your accountant. And it's always the best time to talk to your accountant.
Absolutely.
No matter what time of year it is, talk to your accountant.
And stay in touch with your accountant. I think a lot of people, lot of people don't stay in touch with their accountants unless and until it's tax time. Steve, how do we get in touch with you? I think your expert comments are.
I'm on the PAIG portal.
You're on the PAIG portal.
That's where Karan can.
Steve Travis on the PAIG Property Show today. Karan?
Thank you very much.
He's always very good to have Steve over here at the office. He's a very busy man. He's out and about with his clients, and of course a lot of our paid clients as well. Like I said, guys, we've had a bit of a interesting day today in terms of clients being skeptic about buying property close to the financial year, if it's the right time or not the right time, Karan. Probably your expertise are very important for clients to get that comfort. There's a lot of myth out there in the market. I think PAIG can turn that into facts and, you know, really bring them down in over here. You want to throw a little bit off?
Yeah, look, there's always a good time to buy. I always say it's you make money when you buy the property, not when you actually sell the property. So we've always got opportunities, guys. So please feel free to go to paig.com.au, paig.com.au, and please sign up to the PAIG Hub, and you'll be able to get access to all these services that we offer using our business partners. Huge platform, a lot of network of partners and educated people who are there to answer those kind of doubts.
100%. No two cases are going to be the same, guys. Lots of properties, but that's not the aim. The aim is to educate yourselves and get the right opportunity through the PAIG financial services or the accounting services, using our services in general. So get in touch, drop in at the PAIG headquarters. We're down here on Harris Street in Piedmont. Any questions or queries, feel free to post any messages through. Thanks, guys. Pleasure joining, and we'll see you guys very soon.